moved into the Priestley building. When I hear people stand here and talk about to say, oh, okay, well, you know, we don't have fresh this, we don't have fresh that, and this is that, and this is that, nothing's easy. If we make everything easy for each and everybody, we're talking children. We're talking children. I'm talking my child as well. Because I'm not saying that my child is, or your child is more, or my child is, but sometimes we have to understand that we have to give a little bit to get a little bit. If we have a building that is being worked on and fixed, let's work on that. But back to the education part.
Ms. Connor, I want to ask you, I apologize, I want to ask you to wrap it up, okay?
Okay, I have seen from the growth with my child, she's growing.
My name is Keel Patel. I give her my time.
Okay. She is growing. All of the kids are growing. We're in, this is the class of 2014. We started out with Mr. Mining, now we're with Mr. Dazzler. And this is a process. Everybody's sitting here talking about money in schools. It's always been a problem. It's always been a problem. But why are they talking about so much about money in school? Let's work on it to fix it. How about everybody getting together and working on it as a team to help our children? You're speaking of a better New Orleans. This is the future. These children are our future. So I'm not understanding when you're just like everybody is trying to separate. In a whole, we are getting older and they're younger. And that is our future. So why not try to balance it out so they could get ready and get to these universities, high universities, and score very well and pass and do what they need to do. Now, my other thing is when they're speaking about things with children.
I want to ask you to wrap it up, okay?
Right, okay, this is my last thing.
Okay.
When they speak of learning with children, that starts in your home, okay? That's how I feel. That starts in the home. But we need the funding. We need it. I am a proud parent of RSD, and I wouldn't change anything about it. Please help us. Please don't take it away.
Thank you. Nicole Reynolds and Winchella Smith. Nicole Reynolds, Winchella Smith, Frederick Washington. Gwendolyn Adams. Malcolm Subi. Dr. Monique Cola. Brighton Ray. Oh no, Bridgetta Ray, maybe. Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Yes.
And state your name, because I went through a lot of cards there. I want to make sure.
I'm Malcolm Suber. And what we're talking about here tonight is a simple question of democracy. We want in Orleans Parish what every other parish has in this state, and that's the right to control our own schools. High crimes and misdemeanors have been carried out against the people of New Orleans and the citizens of New Orleans by the RSD and the people who run these charter operations. We don't believe that these schools have served the best interests of the majority of our African American students. Lusher School hijacked Forche. While we were out of town, they maneuvered with Tulane University to move our children off of Nashville Avenue and to have their own school there. We don't believe that this should stand. You've had your 5 years, it's time to go. It's time to say goodbye. We need our school board, we need to be able to come to a meeting, not once a year or once every other year, but we were able to come to a meeting every 2 weeks and to say what we wanted to say and to try to hold that school board accountable. I think the new board has indeed shown some maturity and has understood the bad ways of the old board. And we're not saying that we're going to take away all of the rights of the independently run schools. We have always stood for self-determination.
Okay.
We want our schools to be run in the best interest of our children, but we don't want experiments on our children, and we don't support the Vallis and plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray? I'm sorry, it was Ray Bright. I apologize. And before you start, I'm going to call Janice Stevenson and Tara Slessman. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Ray A. Bright. And I just want to say, as an aside, I wasn't going to say this, but just as an aside, everybody's ice can be cold, and everybody's grass can be greener. Now, all of y'all who know what I'm talking about, fine. If you don't, then I can't explain it. But let me just say this. People have come up and spoken eloquently. And after a while, you know, words have meaning and words have power, but after a while, everything starts to sound the same. But I'm going to ask you all to do this one thing and to hear these words. And when you walk away, remember this. Have the moral courage to return the schools to their rightful place. The moral courage. That's a tough thing in the face of a whole bunch of factors and variables. So please remember that. And basically, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Gwendolyn Adams. I'd like to first thank the Bessie Board for considering the people here in Orleans Parish. And as you've heard the frustrations of these people, they've done everything basically but address the plan. I'd like to say to you this afternoon, Mr. Pastrick, that what I would like to see from your plan is accountability. That's something that we haven't had in the past 5 years. I'd also like to see transparency. We need to know that what is going on, what is happening in the future of our children is in the best interest of our children. It was my understanding from your presentation that you have a group of persons that are working on attempting to restore Orleans Parish with the schools that are not failing. Where's the transparency in that? Who are these people? Are they people that have the best interest of our children at hand? Are they people that are from our community? Who are these people? How did you formulate this committee? What did you use as your underlying motive for selecting persons? I don't know, I don't remember having heard that you were seeking persons to try and formulate a plan for the return of schools to the Orleans Parish School District. Now, I just like, fine, I'm almost done.
Thank you.
I would just like to know, what is your plan? Who are these people? How were they selected? And can we incrementally go into a plan that returns the schools that are not failing back to Orleans Parish, because we don't need 5 more years of what has already taken place. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also going to call Donatus King and Mary Joseph.
Good evening. My name is Janice Stevenson, and I represent myself. First of all, I'd like to go back to Brown versus the Board of Education. And Brown versus the Board of Education simply said that separate was not equal. What I'm seeing now in this room as I listen to people talk today, we are more separated today than we have ever been. I hear people talk charter, I hear people talk RSD, I hear people talk about all types of other schools. But the bottom line is we are a community. We are one community. We have the right to govern ourselves as a community as every other parish in Louisiana has. I don't understand why it is so difficult for everyone in this community to understand this is about our children. Our children have the right to be educated, be it charter, be it RSD, be it Orleans Parish. They have the right to be educated. They all have the right to the same education, and I'm not finding it. And I'm listening to too many people talk about my school, our school, their school. All of the schools should be equal so all of the children get the same education in this parish, and it's not happening. So you want to know what my question to you is? My question to you is, when will you see to it that we, the taxpayers, are able to educate our children in our community?
I'm going to ask you to wrap
Last
it up.
but not least,
Thank you.
I know teachers who are in fear of their jobs every day because of charter. I worked at a school where all of our teachers were released because of a charter school, and I'm not saying all charter schools have done that, because I know some that have not. But if it's working, and it's working in a way that's positive for the children, don't close it, but open it to all of the children. Don't sit down and say, oh, we have our quota and we can't take any more, because we have too many children out here in schools that are, we've created a two-class system,
I'm
haves
going
and
to have to ask you to
have-nots.
wrap it up. Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
two-class system, and we need to work as
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you.
I'm also going to call Jonathan Birch and Eden Hellman.
My name is Julie Andrews. I'm the education chairperson with the NAACP. Donatus King, my president, asked me to speak for him this evening.
Okay.
I agree definitely with the past speaker. What people have allowed to happen is that this RSD system, governed by Betsy and so forth, has divided and conquered our community. And if we don't be careful, because it appears as if things are great for us right now, are great for our children, before you know it, it will be reverted back to what it once was long time ago. You see, as long as somebody's giving you something and you feel good, and I'm looking at you all, but I'm talking to the folks behind me who are yang and haranguing about what's working well for their children or their school, and this one pitted against that one. Well, we shouldn't fall for the okie doke and be divided and conquered. We should stand together, because all children deserve an equal and fair, equitable and accessible education here in this system. When we talk about public education, we're talking about public education for all, and all should have an equal opportunity to go to the schools. If one school can successfully succeed with educating children, all schools should be able to successfully succeed with educating children. I have a problem. I will wrap up, thank you. I have a problem with this here today. I have a problem with people not coming with evidence and facts. I have a problem with people going for the okie doke and not understanding that the wool is being pulled over your eyes. Wake up, because if your child is succeeding and your neighbor child is not, don't blame it on the parent. The parent will fail by the system also.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to
I'm gonna
tell
ask
you,
you to close.
in closing,
Okay.
the New Orleans NAACP supports the return of the schools to the Orleans Parish School Board.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. My name is Dr. Monique Cole. I'm a graduate of the Joseph S. Clark High School. Joseph S. Clark High School was named after Dr. Joseph Samuel Clark, the founding member and first president of Southern University in Baton Rouge. It is located in the heart of Esplanade Ridge, And Joseph S. Clark has had a proud history of producing graduates who have gone on to become leaders in New Orleans and beyond. In 2007 and 2008, the Louisiana State Department of Education held the High School Redesign Summit to help districts transform high schools into learning centers that would educate and train students to become competitive in this global market. Sir, Mr. Pasterick, yourself was quoted as saying, "The world is changing quickly, and our students must be able to not only keep up, but set the pace." Sir, I respectfully say to you, that has not happened. To that end, the Joseph S. Clark Alumni Association cannot support the recommendations put forth in your proposal. First of all, primarily because this plan calls for Clark High School to either be phased out or converted. We are not opposed to charter, but we are opposed to being left out of that decision-making process. So we ask that you would listen to our request. We are, again, not opposed to closure, but are opposed to you leaving us out of the process. We believe the decision should include all the stakeholders who are interested in Joseph S. Clark and are concerned about the education and the well-being of the children of this community, and we ask that you allow us equitable participation in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
How are you doing today? My name is Eden Heilman. I'm an attorney with Southern Poverty Law Center. Our office in New Orleans is representing New Orleans public school children on several matters regarding both special education and school discipline. First, I want to mention that there were over 200 people locked out of this building tonight and that were denied entry into this meeting. And I begin by pleading that the board ensure a way to make sure that these families of these people were given the chance to participate. These were 200 parents, families, community members who left work early and who arranged for childcare just so they could come here and speak tonight, and many of them left without being heard. And I encourage the board to make sure that these people's thoughts and voices are heard and considered. Second, the board has a critical decision to make about the governance and structure of public education in New Orleans. There are a few realities that the board must consider throughout these deliberations. Under the current structure, thousands of students are denied access to public education because they have disabilities or because they are criminalized by brutal school discipline policies and security policies. As many of us in this room remember, Orleans Parish School Board also denied students access to public education for these same reasons. Any governance structure, at a minimum, must prioritize removing the barriers to public education faced by New Orleans students. This board has the power and the legal obligation to ensure equal access for all students in New Orleans. You hold our children's future in your hands, and what future will that be if they can't even enter the schoolhouse door? I'd also like to welcome several people up here who have posters and pictures of children with disabilities who were killed out on the streets because they were pushed out of school.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'd like to thank Superintendent Pasterick and the board for coming to New Orleans to hear the community speak, and thanks to everyone who stuck around.
Could you state your name, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Jonathan Birch, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Louisiana Association of Public Charter Schools. We're a statewide organization serving 35,000 students in Louisiana with 20,000 in New Orleans alone. And I'm here to voice our support for Superintendent Pasterick's proposal. So why are parents of 20,000 students choosing charter schools? They're choosing charter schools because charter schools provide new opportunities for students, like the Edible Schoolyard at Green Charter School, Liberty's Kitchen at New Orleans College Prep, new transportation solutions at Sophie B. Wright, a strong special education program at MLK Charter, and real college readiness at the KIPP New Orleans schools. These programs are here because of the autonomy and accountability that charters have in the RSD. In 4 years, we've had schools reach 3 and 4 stars. This kind of growth has never happened so quickly anywhere in the state. Our association stands for accountability through local control, and there is no more local control than the immediate accountability that the parents of 20,000 students provide on a daily basis when they entrust us, charter schools, with their students. When you talk to parents of a 5-year-old or a 5th grader or a 9th grader, they do not care what board governs their school. They care about whether a school can deliver on the promise of an individualized education and the promise of college readiness.
Mr. Birch, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Charter schools are doing this, and we ask that you preserve their ability to deliver for our kids by supporting Superintendent Pasteryk's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to also call Mr. Carl Sutton, Deidre Burrell, and Adrian Bruno. Asta Levine as well. And if I've called your name, don't worry about the order. If you're ready, go ahead.
How y'all doing? My name is Carl Sutton. I'm a parent and part of the Parent Leadership Council at New Orleans College Prep. Prior to Katrina, I visited a couple of schools, and just being in the school, talking to a teacher, we had to step out the classroom because we couldn't hear each other speak. That's Orleans Parish. My kids are at New Orleans College Prep now. They don't just have rules, they implement them. They meet the kids every day at the door. Last year they was in the top 10 for 8th grade passing elite. You know, so if the school is working, let it work. If the schools have a problem, get with the people and y'all get it fixed that way. Don't operate with the schools that's working because you want what you want. Everybody's in here, it's pretty much to me is a power trip. You know, if something's working, let it work. We try to get these kids off the street corners. You know, I was one of those kids on that corner. I've done everything that y'all complained about. You know, so now I want my kids to have better than I had. That same education, everybody hooping and hollering about what's right, what's wrong. Let these teachers teach. We don't have the same teachers that I had when I came up. So we got a new breed of teachers. Let them teach. Let these kids learn. If more parents, fathers, participate in their kids' education, it'll be a difference. New Orleans College Prep is working. Let it work.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Adrian Bruno. I am here on behalf of the Orleans Parish Republican Executive Committee. This is a resolution that we passed at our last meeting. The Orleans Parish Republican Executive Committee recommends the immediate transition of schools from the State Recovery School District back to the elected Orleans Parish School Board. In the 5 years since the state takeover, the Orleans Parish School Board has transitioned from near financial insolvency with a negative $2 million general fund balance in 2005 to the highest bond rating in the city of New Orleans, and a general fund balance in excess of $50 million at the close of the 2009-2010 school year. The district has one of the highest sustained academic growth rates of any district, having risen from an academic ranking of 17th in the state in 2008 to being ranked 3rd in the state in 2010. After a 2-year, 14.2-point district performance score increase, the committee is confident that the Orleans Parish School Board has shown the leadership, initiative, and reform necessary to warrant our recommendation of favoring school return to the local level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. I'm also going to call Keoka Taylor and
Good evening, and
Rhoda
thank
Jones. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Deidre Johnson Burrell. I am the Executive Director for the Orleans Public Education Network and a proud product of public education in this city. I have pretty simple remarks to make. I am both awed, honestly, and pained by tonight. Awed because there are so many in our community that have shown up to show their common support for advancing the aims of improving student achievement for our children. Pained because it is clear that we are still very classically divided and that our bifurcated environment has partly contributed to that. So with that, I'm going to keep my comments pretty short. I think we are divided. I think there's one thing that you can consistently hear woven through the remarks the pain, the anger, and so forth that folks bring forth, there is a common commitment in this community to having children improve student achievement, and that folks want better for the children of this community than we ever have before. So I ask with that your recommendation, State Superintendent Pastrick and the Bessie Board, that you support a process of community reconciliation, that in your initial remarks, when you framed your recommendation in early September, you talked about the importance of community engagement processes in helping to determine the future of school governance in this city. I asked then that you would support a process where this community can work through its classic divides, share best practices on what are the things that are working. There are effective charter schools that are working in this community. There are effective traditional schools that are...
to wrap it up. I'm sorry.
And I am wrapping it up.
Okay.
And so with that, I will say, I just encourage you to give serious consideration. I would be foregoing my responsibility as a citizen of this community to not recommend specifically related to the plan that something aggressively be done to support the achievement of the Recovery School District traditionally operated schools, particularly the high schools,
Please.
and that the state superintendent would support a community engagement process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Asta Levine. I cannot believe I'm speaking again. I did that 5 years ago. When we collected over 800,000 signatures from parents. By the way, I'm representing KIP McDonough 15 and KIP Renaissance School now, and French Quarter community too. People say French Quarter is not community. Oh yes, we are. We proved that 5 years ago, when we stood in front of Bessie Board asking to allow us to charter. I don't know how our school is doing. I'm listening different opinions, but you know what? Our school is doing just fine. Thank you, KIP. I could be going on and on and on, but I want to be short because I don't have a time. My son is going to college in 2014, so I have to go.
Thank you. I'm going to call Reverend Calhoun, Ollie Hudson.
How are we doing?
Nicole Charles as well? Yes, sir.
I'm Reverend Willie L. Calhoun Jr. And I do want to thank y'all for taking the time to come to New Orleans. And I want to keep this short. I think that you've heard the frustration. I think you've heard the passion. But I've also heard that Superintendent Pastrick has his 6 votes. We don't want this to be academic. My recommendation, and I think if you would take in consideration of the people here in New Orleans, take it back to the Betsy Board and have an honest vote on not to go into the plan for Mr. Pastrick. Thank you.
Thank you. I've also called previously Rhoda Jones and Keoka Taylor. I've called Ollie Hudson and Nicole Charles, Brenda Valto, Lolita Glass, Libba McCurney, Daryl Brown,
Come on, Snake Eyes.
Senator Lewis.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. I'm Daryl Brown. I'm an English educator at Southern University at New Orleans, and I just want to speak for a minute just to the audience. One thing, the brochure asks who's running the schools. One thing, I am not for either one. I'm for one thing. Miss Andrews, is that the one? Here is the condition of our public schools. They're on city blocks. I'm here about charter, my school, McDonald. We're missing the point. Whoever runs the school system is in charge of $1.8 billion. We deserve first-class schools. And I'm not hearing that. I haven't heard $1.8 billion mentioned all night. And the biggest fire I heard, the one with the biggest rage, was Coach Digger Phelps. And he's not even from New Orleans. Do your schools have tennis courts, gyms, Olympic-sized swimming pools? Thank you. You're leaking ceilings and you said, hey, my school is better than your school. We need first-class schools. You see what happened with, do you see what happened with that road home? Now we have a chance now. Hold on, young lady, hold on. Hold on, miss, hold on, be respectful. Come on now. We have a chance to build our schools. Look at the charter schools. They just changed the name.
Mr. Brown.
Okay, 10 seconds?
Yeah,
just
please.
change the names. We deserve first-class schools. Public or charter, first-class schools. That's it. We're dealing with $1.8 billion. And no one has mentioned that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I've called Libba McCarney, Lolita Glass, Brenda Valto. Oh, we can't hear you. See if the mic's on. No, I don't know. Did some? Is it on the bottom?
You have to have high protein, low starch diet. These are all the things. I'm eating candy, right?
Is it?
I am so off my diet.
Oh, it turned off.
I think it. Try it now. There it is. It should work.
Okay. Thanks for giving me a second chance. Superintendent and Mr. Chairman, Bessie Board, thank you for coming here. Thank you for coming to New Orleans.
State your name,
Thank you for caring.
Your name, please.
My name is Libba McInery. I represent Lamb Ministries, which I co-chair with my husband, Hy McInery, who is now deployed to Afghanistan, on his way home soon. We run a Christian ministry to a disenfranchised youth in New Orleans. It has been our consistent observation and experience that these are the children who are not admitted to many charter schools. It has also been our observation that these young people, who are often impoverished and are part of a very large percentage of our local youth, are not allowed to attend their historic neighborhood schools now, many of which have been closed by the RSD to become charter schools. These children are bused for many miles to underperforming and overcrowded and understaffed RSD schools. We know these children. We've had 4,000 in our ministry. They often languish in those large, impersonal, and unfamiliar schools. They often drop out. Some have ended up victims or perpetrators of crimes. I'm almost through.
Okay, thank you.
A recent personal example of this destructive pattern I see in the changing historic public neighborhood schools is the experience of an excellent young man, Terrence. I know him well. When this young man, a senior, returned to Douglas, his neighborhood school, he was told, sorry, we're a charter school now. You're not invited. My second example.
And I apologize. One more time, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
All right. My second example is this obituary. It's a poor, unfortunate student illegally suspended from a large RSD high school on a school day. While he was on that illegal suspension, he was gunned down in my neighborhood around the corner from my house. He's one of many. Reconsider our New Orleans children and return our local children to our local public school board. Thank you.
Senator Willard Lewis, Diane Fresh-Cole. French.
You don't want to mess up her name at all, Terrence.
I know. Brett Bonin, you're on deck as well. Oh, I didn't see. I wasn't looking for this name.
I know.
Mama D. I
You're looking for
apologize.
Mama D.
I told you you didn't
want to mess up. I've made a lot of mistakes, not that big.
I told him he did not want to mess up your name.
Okay. Well, you see, Luella, all night just been twisted. Baby, I think I probably know you before you conceived. And see some of y'all right here? See some of y'all right here? Look up, boy. You right here, young man. I know you're a man now. Y'all better get this right. It ain't about none of what was said here tonight. See that man on that wall? Do any of y'all know who he is? His name is Max Spears. Public school student, the city of New Orleans. All I've heard tonight was I mean mine. Because of my reputation, I had to pay for my children's education. I got to one school and they said, he's had problems. I said, why they say that on the paper? They said, we see he's been to plenty of schools. I said, we're trying to find a school to catch up with his mind. With his mind. And for all of y'all with I mean my children, but for the grace of God, there go I, here. I got some beautiful little grandchildren. You know who yours gonna marry? You're not concerned about mine? It's our children. And I know why you got it twisted. You don't come with me to Tulane and Broad. A la Yolo and Poitras. Let's keep this real. It's been twisted all night long. Because the real issue here, bruh, where that little man at? I got his U-Haul. Inalienable rights. Inalienable rights. We have to vote. We didn't vote for him. We voted for this sister right here. That's one of our babies sitting up there with you. I'm old school, y'all.
Ms. Cole, I want to
Everybody got,
ask
I know, baby.
Thank you.
But I walked here. You know, I ain't got no car. People don't understand the civil rights movement because they boiled it down to one man king. That man was in it. We had to break what folks say was the law. See, they got it twisted. We don't wait and change nothing. We change stuff, and then they have to change the law. This is what's happening here now. This crime is being committed on New Orleans. How you unemploy over 6,000 people and fix something? You made dysfunctional families agreeing with this insanity. When you unemployed them, they had nowhere to go to get medical treatment because all of the benefits were taken from them.
Ms. Cole, I've asked everybody.
I know, baby, but you know what my little security man know? I do central lockup. Give me another minute here. Give me another minute, because if they hadn't taken so long, and they don't even understand the history of New Orleans. It was them red shirts that went on camp in Padres and killed the black soldiers who fought for the South. Red shirts, y'all. Look it up. Look it up. We voted. I know most of them's daddy here. And I know his mother was a stalwart in the school system. How can somebody that we don't know, who has broken the law, and Haiti wants y'all to get him from down there too. Haiti talks to me almost every day. How can two people making over $500,000 a year, and the education lady, what she did, she fired herself and then came back the next day with some more money and rehired herself. We don't care.
Ms. Cole,
we've done with less. Let me say something to you.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up, okay?
And you're gonna get that in a minute if you let me say what I got to say. I'm 65, boo. Central Lockup gonna put me out because they don't even want me down there with them people no more. So y'all do what y'all got to do, because I'm here speaking for my community. I don't have no children in public schools. Never did. My children went to Christian Brothers, St. Pius, St. Augustine, De La Salle. And I didn't get no discount because I was from Desire or Gertown. I paid full tuition. I'm here because you're not seeing what's happening to our children. I'm appalled that people broke this down to what my child get. We went to jail. A lot of people died for us to have the right to vote for who we want to represent us. This governance mess is like this other real word, and I'm getting ready to sit down, boo. RACY. ISM. It's vicious, it's malicious, and it's got to stop because you at a point where you don't recognize and these babies don't recognize. We about to boil over, we about to exhale here. Do this right. These two people don't have no right to control us as a people. We're the only group of people in America that was denied an education by law. We had to break that one. Mr. Turo had to sit them down in the 50s. They're too young to know this. That's why I forgive my babies back here talking crazy. Mr. Turo had to go to court to keep the state from taking over our schools in the 50s.
Ms. Cole?
Yeah, baby.
It's time, okay?
You want me? Can I tell you something? Don't do this like this no more. Because if I had really been in my right mind today, they had more people outside than in here. And I'm from the era where we don't allow people to have meetings about us and we ain't in the room. We could have came in here today. Here, we trying to be peaceful. We're trying to be peaceful people. You come every once in a while.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you cannot. Just hush a second, boo. You see, every time you do that, I'm 65, I'm telling you. I walked here. I wrote it down to keep from. See, I wrote it down. And if you let me tell you what's on this piece of paper, I will sit down. Do not keep this racist, sick, immoral practice going on in this city over our children. In a minute, we're going to have more where I go every day, which is almost there. Come see, than they have in our schools. Do what you want to, because we're going to have to do what we've got to do to protect ourselves in this city.
I'm also going to call Raven Watson.
Point of personal privilege, if I may.
Go ahead, Ms. Gibbons.
Don't sit down, lady. Oh, I'm sorry, young lady. I thought Senator-elect Willard Lewis was going to speak next. Oh, you've been sworn in? You didn't invite me, Cynthia. I'm upset. Go ahead, dear.
My name is Raven Watson, and I'm a student at KIPP Renaissance High School. I feel that there should be no debate over schools. You want your children to have a great education, doesn't matter what school they're in. KIPP Renaissance is a healing place for us. You come in no matter what problems or issues you have, they're all resolved. We have teachers who care about us, and we've been destroyed. We need this. We need teachers who love us. And
come on, baby, come on. Don't do it. Wait a minute. Don't do the child that. Please. I ask you.
Finish.
That's one of our children. Don't do her that.
Yeah, she's doing well. Come on. Come on. Guys, please.
That's a child, Diane. She's a child. Let her say her piece. Let her speak.
You're doing well. Go ahead. Continue.
thank you. As respect for all of us students who want the education, without RSD schools, without KIPP Renaissance, KIPP Believe, we would be on the street. We take time after school, have tutoring and everything. Without that, some kids will have no hope. We've been through bad schools, schools that just don't care about us, throw us away, think that we're not going to be successful. Without RSD schools and charter schools, there'll be no future for us. They give you the chance to believe that you are going to graduate, believe that you're going to be everything that you want to be. They have opportunities for us. Thank you.
You did very well. Thank you. Senator Lewis, Brett Bonin.
We have some disgusting people.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So do I get my personal privilege now or when?
I guess you can get it right now. Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate our newest senator, Cynthia Willard Lewis. And I know that she goes to the Senate as a friend of education. I know that she will continue the fight for the restoration of New Orleans, as she has in the City Council and before that in the House of Representatives. So we get a veteran legislator going to the Senate who I am counting on. And she knows I'm counting on, and I know where she lives.
Thank you. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you to my Bessie Board member and to all of the honorable members of the Bessie Board for being here in New Orleans, to all of the hardworking parents, teachers, educators, to the children assembled, to the other elected officials, those in the room and those who were not allowed to come into the room. I would like to acknowledge their presence, the atmosphere that was outside, so intent on being a part of this very critical discussion, perhaps the most critical discussion in the forward movement of our great city since the discussion of green space. And that is why you come into an atmosphere that is so volatile, as you shared, Mr. Chairman, filled with such passion, but as I am reflecting, also filled with much pain. Because everyone in this room views our children as our greatest asset. And the question that we are groping with right now is governance, to make sure that every child in the city has the resources, the facilities, the curriculum development, the access, the support, the business community, that there are no haves and have-nots as we move forward, but that all of the talents are embraced and the gifts are shined and the intellect is allowed to soar in an atmosphere of excellence, no matter what neighborhood a child comes from or a school is located in. That is why we have such a very passionate discussion. But let me just say, and I'm going to try to be brief, the divisiveness that we're feeling, the atmospheric environment of tension was created by the fragmentation of the system and the creation of multi-levels of systems. And as someone spoke earlier, it is time for the healing. It is time for the unity. And while I honor Mr. Pastorek and your great efforts of advocating recommendations, I must say, as an elected official and a representative of the voice of the people, that it is time for the people to have their elected officials guide the forward movement of their schools. Now, as I wrap up, I want to reference, and Mr. Pastorek, you are a creative lawyer, as we had Harry Rosenberg speak to. This is not an all or nothing formula. This becomes a discussion of healing and unification, where we honor the great accomplishments of many educators who had no choice immediately following Katrina. And I specifically speak to Mrs. Dr. Hicks of Martin Luther King Elementary School as an example of a charter that came into existence because there were no options.
Senator, I've asked everybody to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you this.
And I am wrapping it up. And so what I say is, as we move forward, and I advocate local governance so that people do not have to travel to Baton Rouge, where they can engage in conversation with their elected local officials, there is a way to engage and honor the existence of our charter schools and reward them for all of their hard work and efforts. It does not have to be a all or nothing conversation, a we against them conversation. The brilliance in this room and the intellectual best practices and the strategy that Mr. Harry Rosenberg offers allows for unification under elected officials honoring the charter schools that are in existence and recognizing their great work. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak to this.
Brett Bonin, Mary Beavick Hickman, and I believe it's Ethel Louise Cotton. Brett Bonin, Mary Beavick Hickman, and Ethel Louise Cotton. Mr. Bonin.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. Brett Bonin, Orleans Parish School Board District 3 member. I just wanted to echo what the good senator said, our newest senator. My biggest problem with all of this is we are divided. Coming here today and seeing people arguing against people, pitting schools against different schools, that needs to stop. And I think my biggest concern is it is a city divided. I really think it's almost like asking children to choose between one parent or the other. And to me, that's the greatest travesty that can happen after Katrina with all we've had to deal with. I think it's very important that both systems work together, that Superintendent Kilbert work with Superintendent Pasternak to try to work out something that works for everybody and that accomplishes the greatest good. That's where I'm at. I would ask Bessie to please do that. Don't divide us. Please join us together. Please get both systems working together to accomplish the greatest good. One of the things that really pained me is we had so many people saying that they're a charter and that they're fearful of coming back to OPSB. I want to remind people that OPSB was the first district to charter a majority of its schools.
Mr. Bonin.
We remain the first elected body in this country to charter a majority of its schools. We are charter friendly. We do want you back. We do want to take care of you. We had Sophie B. Wright here. The law created a strange, unique thing. Oddly enough, we're responsible for Sophie B. Wright's capital improvements. And later on Tuesday, this board is going to be voting to give $340,000 to improving Sophie B. Wright Charter Schools facilities. And that money is coming from OPSB. We need to work together. Both Bessie and OPSB, Superintendent Kilbert, Superintendent Pasternak need to figure out a way to keep people from being against each other and join together. That's all that I would ask.
Thank you. Mary Babbitt Hickman and Ethel Cotton.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a certified teacher.
State your name, I'm sorry.
Mary Babbitt Hickman.
Okay.
And